Hi, Dr. Sotopena. I hope you don't mind. I decided to submit this unconscious bias exit reflection with a video rather than with some written submission, only because I feel like I have a lot of thoughts circulating in my head and I wasn't sure how I'd be able to organize it onto paper, so hopefully it makes sense by verbally explaining myself. But yeah, so an unconscious bias that I don't hold anymore because through my education in college, I've learned to reverse the thoughts that I've had in the past. But one unconscious bias that I used to hold, a really big unconscious bias that I used to hold in high school, was the thought of it was discriminatory towards people who were Hispanic or who were second language learners. I know that now just Hispanic students or Latinx students are the only students who are English language learners, but in my high school there's a pretty large Hispanic population. That's why I say it. But so in high school I was pretty competitive. As far as I've had a lot of pressure to be the best student, and so I was kind of competitive subconsciously with other students. Like if I scored better on a test than them, I thought, ha ha ha, I'm smarter than you. And like, I don't know, just it was the whole toxic thing that I had in high school in my education. But one of the things was if I noticed the student wasn't speaking so fluently, said some words wrong, wrote some words wrong, didn't spell everything correctly, didn't say everything correctly, didn't have the best grammar, subconsciously I would think, oh, I'm smarter than them and they're dumb. And this was really, discriminatory against the Latinx and the Hispanic population at my school, because that was mainly the composition of the school. And a lot of those students, English was either their second language, or their parents didn't speak a whole lot of English, or little English, or broken English, or whatever it is. I understand, especially when we're talking about positionality, I understand the privilege that I have in that English is my native language. My parents speak English, and my grandparents speak English, and just, my whole family speaks English, and so I was raised just naturally acquiring the grammar, the correct grammatics, and spellings, and everything like that. Because my family, my home speaks the language. This country is operated on just plainly English, really. And so I understand that privilege that I have. But back in high school, I definitely just thought that, I just thought, oh my God, I'm so much smarter than they are, which I learn now, definitely not true. So not true. But yeah, at the time. And so one thing that I really want to ensure as a future educator, so that I'm not inflicting any of my biases or prejudices against any of my students, is to recognize that, especially because I'm going to be teaching English language learners, I'm going to have them in my classroom. I don't want my thoughts of just because they can't spell a word correctly or say a word correctly or use the correct grammar that they're dumb. That's absolutely not true. And I don't want that, and I'm not going to have that get in the way of me providing them an equitable education provided by me, making sure that doesn't harm any of my students, that they never feel as if they are less than because of the fact that they can't spell something correctly or say something correctly. Doesn't mean that they're less than, doesn't mean that they're dumber than, or anything like that. Never want them to feel as if they are not cared for by me, or feel as if they're not capable of achieving greatness in education. I don't want that to withhold them from anything. So I would really have to question myself and making sure that I'm questioning myself if my prejudices, if my prejudices and biases are getting in the way, and ensuring that it doesn't get in the way of how I teach my students. But yeah, I hope all that mumble, I don't know, I hope that kind of made sense. I feel like I had a lot of thoughts circulating in my head. So anyways, that's it.